Welcome, everyone. The Las Colinas Disability Employee Resource Group and the Las Colinas CENS D&I champions can't wait to share ear hockey with you. Our moderators for this event will be myself, Calvin Moyson, and Jonathan Clark. Before we get started, we wanted to highlight a few things.
Hi, everyone. I'm Calvin, and I'm one of the board members of the Las Colinas Disability Employee Resource Group, or ERG for short. The Disability ERG mission is to foster a culture where everyone is valued, encouraged to come as they are, and empowered to achieve more. If you're interested in joining the Las Colinas Disability ERG, then feel free to add yourself to the distribution list on the screen posted in chat. If you don't know what an ERG is, or you have interested in other Las Colinas ERGs, then please ping Christine Jackson, as she is the Las Colinas ERG site lead and would be more than happy to help you.
At this event, it's about accessibility, and we encourage everyone to get your accessibility badge. So go to aka.ms/accessibility-in-action to complete your training. Now, let's get to ear hockey. Patrick Farley is a content writer for Azure Cognitive Services and one of the developers of ear hockey. He is here today to talk about how ear hockey came to life, show us how to play, and answer any questions you may have. Patrick, take it away.
Hello, all right. Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming. This is Ear Hockey, a Microsoft Garage project. Let's talk about the team. This is a picture of some of us. Boris Baracaldo is on the left there. He was the lead developer here. I'm Patrick Farley at the top there. I'm another developer, and I did the visual art for the project. Molly Ziegler, not pictured, was actually a friend of a friend who did the narration, the sound design, and the original music for this game. And Brandon Artiaga is the guy at the bottom there, and he was like a project manager throughout the whole thing. So this was a hackathon project in the summer of 2017. I joined this team, and they had this goal of creating a bunch of different mini games that with all kinds of accessibility features for blind and low vision players, mostly. I think also for deaf and hard of hearing players. So during that week, we developed 6 different game prototypes, all kinds of different games, puzzles, adventure. I mean, very simple, right? Because it was only for the week. We received the Ability Hack Award for that whole project. And with that came some attention and support and some funding from Microsoft's accessibility org to continue working on some of those games. So ear hockey was one of those games. Another was we called it Echoscape. It's an adventure game, still in development. So a little bit about ear hockey. The game, it's like Atari Pong, where you have 2 paddles hitting a ball back and forth, and to score, you have to hit the ball past your opponent's paddle, which is also like air hockey, the arcade game, except it's horizontal. Ear hockey is also horizontal. So you are the paddle and you, the player, are moving left and right to try to hit a ball in virtual space, to try to hit it past your opponent. And the ball emits a spatial sound, which I'll get into in a second, so that you can locate it in 3D space just with the sound. And that's what we mean when we say it's an audio-based game. You can play the game just with audio. So we built this game in Unity game engine. So it runs on like C# scripts, which we were familiar with, being Microsoft employees. I used Blender 3D art program for the visuals, and we used Audacity for some of the sound editing. That's a really simple, free sound editing software. Molly is a professional musician, and she definitely used a professional software for the original music. I don't know what that was. We used Unity's built-in spatial sound engine, and that's a really cool feature where it distorts the sound of a virtual object to try to simulate the object being like behind you, to the side of you. So not only are you getting like audio left-right input differences, but it'll distort the sound so it actually does sound behind you, the way that your ear distorts the sound by changing certain frequencies depending on where the source of the sound is in relation to your head. So it was really cool to get into that whole thing and learn about that feature of Unity. And that's definitely like a pretty critical part of this whole game experience. The audio design was the most important part. We iterated on this again and again. We talked to colleagues within the company who were blind or low vision, as well as outside the company. We presented at the CSUN Assistive Technology Conference in, I think, 2018 in San Diego. We also consulted the echolocation expert, Daniel Kish, who helped us on actually both of the games we were working on. So we were really happy to get his feedback. All the in-game sound effects needed to be intuitive, so you'd be able to learn what they mean quickly. They needed to be varied, so you wouldn't be confused when they are coming in on top of each other, because this is sometimes like a fast-paced game, and you're going to hear multiple sounds at once. And they need to be congruent, so just that they share like a common style, they sound like they come from the same world, just like just good aesthetics for the game. And then setting the relative volumes of sounds is also important, because everything needs to be heard, but some sounds are more important than others, and we can't have them blocking each other out. The audio theme for this game I would describe as arcade-style sounds with a modern twist, and the original music, which we were just thrilled by, I would describe as light, clever, and extremely catchy. Then the visual design. Secondary to audio, but still an important part of the experience for many of our players, and especially our deaf and hard of hearing players. My goal here was to just make the appearance pleasant, but very simple, not distracting. You see, it's like this kind of outer space meets sort of arcade. We have like the glowing neon. Just, yeah, unfamiliar, but interesting, not distracting. The game actually turns off the display by default during gameplay. So we're really pushing just you should be using the audio when you play this game. In like the holidays of 2018 is when we released this game. So about a year and a half of development. We published it to the Microsoft Store as a Windows 10 game for PC. It's free. You can find it at aka.ms/earhockey. That's ear hockey with or without the hyphen. We'll get you there. The Microsoft Garage is the outlet for experimental projects from teams across the company, and that was the right pipeline for us, because to try to release it as a first-party game title would have been way too much overhead for the scope of this game. And even releasing it through the Garage, we found like a lot of tests and checks that we would have to go in and make some edits to the game to pass. But that's where some of our sponsors in the accessibility org were super helpful, just lining up all the meetings and telling us, all right, here's what we need to do to get the game up to compliance. And they just brought us through that whole thing. Couldn't have done it without them. And then, it received pretty favorable reviews on the Play Store. And shortly after we released it, we found some Let's Play videos on YouTube of people reviewing it, and again, generally positive. So thank you for listening to our little story. Again, the game download link is ak.ms/earhockey. And to hear a little more about this project, you can go to microsoft.com/garage/profiles/ear-hockey. Any Microsoft Garage project has a profile page just like that. And with that, we can go on to the demo video.
This is an audio-based game and is better enjoyed with headphones.
Let's play ear hockey.
Audio augmented reality gaming.
Ear hockey. Main menu.
Use the up and down arrow keys to highlight menu options. Press the spacebar to select.
One-player menu.
Okay, so a couple things. That was the audio splash screen of our little team that we made up for Hackathon. Then we have our menu. You'll notice the subtitles are on by default, and the narration is the default. So it's accessible right out of the box. And we can navigate the menu with the arrow keys and spacebar. So you're going to start with the tutorial. I'm just going to play like a few steps of the tutorial just so you can see like how we teach and some of the like mechanics of the game. So let's go there. Oh, let's turn the sound back on.
Tutorial. During certain parts of the tutorial, you will be locked in place. If you wish to quit the tutorial at any point, press the backspace key.
You are a paddle placed on one end of a rectangular court. There is a ball at the center of the court. Listen to how the sound changes when the ball approaches you. Press the spacebar to launch the ball towards you.
So you'll notice there's this like resonant humming sound, and there's also a ticking sound, and both of those are coming from the ball. So we listen as the ball approaches.
Good job. This sound means you've hit the ball and it has bounced away
Let
from
me
you.
mute for a second. So a couple things you notice is that the pitch of the humming goes up as it approaches you. The ticking gets faster. It gets both get louder, of course, and that's the collection of those is how you judge the depth of the ball on the court. So now what it did is it moved the ball over to the right, so then it's getting me used to hearing just in my audio headphones the left-right difference, and that's how I will know whether to move my paddle to the left or right to catch the ball. So it's having me, oh, let's turn the sound back on. It's having me move over to the right.
Good job. You are in front of the ball.
Stops me.
The ball will now be launched towards you.
I hear the ball
Next,
approaching
the ball
again.
will approach all the way to the right. Move to the right until you hit the sidewall.
So now,
This sound means you've hit the sidewall and can't go any farther in that direction. The ball will now be launched towards you. Now, move back toward the center line of the court where you
so
started.
I hit the sidewall. Now it wants me to move to the center, and you'll hear this click.
This sound means you've crossed the center line of the court. If you hit the ball slightly off of center, it will rebound at an angle. Sometimes the ball will approach you at an angle as well. Press the spacebar to launch the ball at an angle.
So that click I heard when I crossed the center of the court, it's very important for orienting your paddle, or else you only have the ball to orient you really. So you listen for that click, and that's how you can center yourself like after every point, or just so you know where you are when you're moving across the court. So then it's gonna send the ball to the side, and it's gonna show me like the side bump sound. So I know that, so when I hear that, the ball is hitting the side wall and changing directions and coming back towards the center. It'll go over like the point scoring sound, which is when I send the ball past the opponent. Opponent hitting tutorial now.
Main menu.
Use the up and down arrow keys to
And,
highlight menu options.
there is a two-player
Press the spacebar
menu.
to select.
One player
You
menu.
can do a friends match where it'll give the host a code, and then the guest can put in the code, and then it'll match those two people. Or you can have just matchmaking randomly with whatever matches are available. It is over the network though, so both players need to have the game on a PC to play with each other. So one player is just against the computer.
One player menu.
Use the up and down arrow keys to highlight menu options. Press the spacebar to select.
During gameplay, the visual display will be off by default. To turn it on, go to the settings menu.
Start game.
So if I start, the display turns off.
0-0.
The first player to score 7 points wins the game.
Press the spacebar to launch the ball towards
Because you really
The
want to
ball
play
will be
it
launched
without
toward
the
the player who
visuals.
lost the previous point.
But I'm going to turn them on for now, so I'm going to
Game
go into
paused.
settings.
Use the up settings. Settings menu.
Use the up and down arrow keys
And I can
to
turn the
select
display
settings
on
and
to the
on.
default. I can also turn it to
High
high contrast
contrast.
mode, which just brightens up all the main gameplay elements. So if you're low vision, but you want to play with your sight, then you have that option. I'm going to turn it onto
on.
the default display. I can also
Music
change the
volume.
music volume, because if you're new to the game, it can be kind of distracting, the music.
Exit settings.
And there's a difficulty, but I can't change that during the game. I can change that in between games. That's the computer player difficulty.
Game paused. Use the up and down arrow keys to highlight
So,
menu options. Press the space
I'm going
bar
to close my
select.
eyes and
Resume.
play a couple of points so you can see how it goes.
You are in the lead.
Press the space bar to launch the ball.
You are in the lead.
Press the space bar to launch the ball.
You are in the lead.
Get there fast
Press
enough.
the space bar to launch the ball. The game is tied. Press the space bar to launch the ball.
Let's do one more. To the center.
You are in the lead.
All right.
Press the space bar to launch the ball.
Let's exit.
One player menu.
Use the up and down arrow settings.
Main
So you might have
menu.
noticed the ball getting faster in some of those volleys. And if I change the difficulty, it makes the ball start faster and it makes the opponent faster. So definitely a lot of room to up the challenge. Maybe I'm a little rusty. And that's ear hockey.
Main menu.
A great demo. That looks like a lot of fun. I know people are probably over there clicking to go download the app right now, but we want to get a chance for some Q